And welcome back to Kingsport 1851. Surprise, it's part two because we're trying to do that this year. My two themes this year seem to be doing stuff in the 19th century and doing long form role playing. So cool. I'm Kat Rahman. I write games and I run them a lot here. With that said, let's introduce our fine guest. We have so many returning Kingsporters. It's great. But let's start with Serafina, my partner in crime, just co-creator at this point. You're just co. You're just co.
Call a spade a spade. Hi, I'm Serafina, she, her. I am playing Captain Charlotte Goodwin, also she, her, the captain and the believer who is for sure not driving us towards the ragged edge of reason and search for the sublime and divine truth of the universe. It's all going to be fine. She's doing great.
It's no fun when you're the one who says it, you know? But it will be fine. Everything is going to be fine. Why don't we go next to Scott, who is second in command and is playing James Fife, the old sea dog.
Hi, I'm Scott, he, him, and this is also my first-ish Gauntlet game. I was in the first session, but then missed a couple of weeks due to illness. So don't feel too much pressure. Anyway, I'm playing Mr. James Fife, hailed initially from Scotland, but I've been sailing the waters around Kingsport. First time on a whaling vessel, but first mate because the family knows me. They know they can trust me, and I'm worth my salt on the sea. So
Fantastic. Let's go next to our old friend from the Kingsport Drama Society, Daryl. Welcome aboard.
Hi, my name is Gerald. My pronouns are he, him, and I will be playing Forbes Greenwood. Yep, that's right, another Greenwood. So Forbes is a scholar. He is a quiet, mousy man who's a little too tall and doesn't know what to do with himself. He is joining this pleasure cruise, hopefully just to get home, and he wants it to be very chill and very relaxing and not full of a lot of drama, and I don't see how that could possibly disappoint him at all. Unbeknownst to anyone else, he is also a creature, and his exact form shall be revealed as soon as I figure it out. But other than that, it's a Greenwood, y'all, so have fun.
There's been a nice Greenwood somewhere down the line, right? No. Why don't we go next to Bethany, who is returning with Joe McDougall, our stowaway.
Yeah. So, hi, I'm Bethany. They, them, she, her, whatever. I will answer to anything. Joe is the stowaway. He was caught, so like he's less of a stowaway now because they gave him a job. I think helping, I don't know, somebody. Basically he's just been doing whatever he needs doing and trying to make himself useful and walking a fine balance between not making the captain regret not throwing him overboard when she found him, and also doing the right thing and like leaving everyone else to deal with the consequences of it. Surely that won't annoy anybody.
That's pretty standard for a working merchant vessel, yeah. And finally, last but most definitely not least, Ryan, a rookie gauntleteer, welcome aboard, who is playing Mason Black, our new surgeon.
Hello. Yes, I'm playing Mason Black, the surgeon slash outcast. I'm a man with restless eyes and an inviting smile. His body is wiry with graceful and precise movements, and he is most often wearing slim civilian clothes. I haven't really decided what his sin's going to be. I was hoping to get some help with that maybe, or it would come out and play.
We're going to do bonds in a little bit, and that will probably help us figure some of that out. And if not, we can just, wing it until we figure out something. I am cool with that. So, cool. Hey, let's talk about safety. We all like safety. I like safety. So in my games, I use the X card. We're on video, but we do have roll for your party up. So there is an X card button there if you want to use it. You can also say X card. You can cross your hands. You can wave at me to get my attention. You can also, and I urge you to use the chat window if you need to get my attention for anything like I'd like to be in the next scene, or hey, what's going, can we also get this part in? Whatever you need to do. Also, we tend to have people crack Ys in there, so it's great. What else? I also like to use lines and veils. And so what I've done is I have put a line and veil thing on the safety tab here. I'm gonna see how we do about this, but we have some lines here right now, and we can leave them in or change them if people want. But right now we have sexual violence and romantic coercion, the torture of animals, historically accurate and problematic descriptions of First Nations people, historically accurate racism in general, and killing children. If that works for everybody, or if anybody's like, no, we can have that in the game, that's fine. We can move it there. And as for veils, I usually just put sex because, hey, we're on the internet. So does anybody have anything they need to add to that or want to add?
I do, actually. So I would really, just personally for me, like to avoid any kind of stuff related to like grandparents. I know that's a really specific one for me right now, but that's, yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Okay. So I put that under lines. And we can revisit this at any point. And generally speaking, if we X card something, we will have to. So cool. Okay. Let's talk about where the ship is because, hey, this is a part 2 thing, and we should talk about a little bit of what happened last time. The first part of this series started with the ship getting fitted in Kingsport, where the main thing that happened was a mystic ritual of unknown effects and powers was performed by a witch, a Greenwood witch, as a matter of fact, in order to bless the ship. It was also revealed to the captain that the ship has some sort of dark purpose to go somewhere in the middle of the ocean and await further things. Unfortunately for the captain, both the representatives of Kingsport's main Deep One families are well, they're not with us anymore, so that could be a problem. In the meantime, the ship faced a horrible and supernatural storm while trying to round the Cape Good Horn, and is now limping into port in Santiago, Chile, with a broken foremast and some casualties among the crew, since there was a sort of possession/mutiny. So that's where we're going to pick up. I am of the opinion that characters can have been on the ship and we just didn't see them, or they can be picked up here in Santiago, if that's how you want to play it. Either one is good for me. We have plenty of room on the crew. I purposely didn't put too many people in there. So cool. I think the thing we want to do next is let's do bonds. And hey, guys, I figured out how to do them correctly. So you'll notice that there's a box that says bonds, and then there's right below that the bond options. So what you should do is copy them into the bonds box and just fill them in, and then we can, when we've used up all these, we can just hide them. So it's so simple when you figure it out. So cool. I think what we want to do is fill in at least 2 of these. We look like we're going to have the same cast for every week, which is great. Oh, hide them on the spreadsheet. You can hide the rows on the spreadsheet. And I don't know. We can do 2 if you want to fill in all 3. That's also good, I think. So anybody want to start this thing off?
Sure. Does anyone want to be convinced that I'm up to no good and try their best to prove it?
Seems to me the logical one might be James. Does that sound okay for you, or?
Yeah, that one's good for me.
Cool.
Excellent. Why don't we kick it over to James? You have a bond you want to fill in there?
Let's see. I taught someone everything they need to know about the sea. Who likes that? Anybody?
Were you from Kingsport originally?
Not originally, but I've been there for several decades.
Okay, cool. So that could be me. So to clarify though, Forbes is getting on in Santiago, but could potentially have known you before then.
Okay,
So that can be me.
sounds good.
Excellent. So, why don't we go to Forbes then? You have a bond. Also, we do have NPCs. If you'd like, I can introduce a bunch of them. But the most interesting ones are the harpooners. Hezekiah is a New England harpooner from Nantucket, and Elizabeth Dana is a African American woman from Martha's Vineyard. She's quiet and not the marrying kind.
So I think the bond that I want to use is someone does not believe in my discipline, which is being a creature, which means basically the supernatural. Do any of you not believe in the supernatural anymore at all? Anyone?
That could be my character.
Okay, yeah. A man of science would assumedly doubt the supernatural.
Okay, so hey Mason, you got a bond you want to hand out to someone?
Someone put a hand in when it mattered and helped me save a life. Who would like to have done that?
I could take that one. Did we serve on a crew together before? Or was it like from our youth?
Let's say it's from our youth.
Okay, great. And we can like suss out exactly who that was in play if you want, unless you want to do it sort of beforehand.
Cool.
All right. So, Captain, you got a bond for us?
I think I'm going to give the one to James that James had before. I've got my eye on you for first mate, whether or not you agree, and we'll figure out whether or not you agree.
Excellent. So why don't we go back to James then?
Okay, so who would like to be too impulsive? They are dangerous to have around.
That could be me, and that's why you're trying to prove I'm up to no good.
All right, sounds good.
Excellent. Joe, you have a new bond for us?
Let's see. Okay, someone promised to help you escape from your old life, and they're the only one who knew you snuck aboard. I mean, everybody knows now, but someone who knew, like, when I did.
I mean, if you want to modify or make up something, that's also work. I mean, it's,
Mm,
I mean, that one could probably be modified to point to Charlotte because yeah, she gave you the job instead of just pitching you
yeah,
into the ocean.
that could work. Mhm. Um, yeah, let's see, how would I modify that?
Maybe Charlotte believed in you, even though she knew you snuck aboard.
Yeah, or um, that's fine. Yes, I'll just use that.
We're here to help. So, Charlotte, you got something for us?
So, uh, is anybody interested in having a jail sentence in their history? So I have, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I could use it, work it into my sin.
Yeah. So the exact bond is that you owe me for giving you a second chance after your jail sentence. So I took you on board, I gave you a job, whatever it was. Um, Maybe I did it because I know you're really a good person. We saved a life together. And what's your character's first name again? Mason? Okay, great.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having a hard time toggling back and forth between mutes.
That's why I use this thing. Okay, cool. Mason, you want to give us a new bond?
Um, Someone seemed suitably impressed by my skills, and I just can't help showing off in front of them.
I think that could be me. Like maybe I've hired you on, or maybe you're just accompanying me or something like that. Are you going to be getting on in Santiago as well, or were you there the whole time?
No, I'll be getting on with you.
Okay. So yeah, we're maybe like erstwhile traveling companions or something like that.
All right, Forbes, bring us some more drama, skin.
Okay. So I'm actually gonna say that Charlotte frightens me. I don't like the way they look at me.
I'm down. She's pretty frightening.
Yeah, it's those looking eyes, and then also maybe she suspects something about me. She is a believer, so
This is fair. So it looks like we've each got 2 bonds there. A couple of us have, if you want to do more bonds, we can do that too. A couple of people have the special bonds. So since we got the full cast, if you want to go to 3 bonds, we can totally do that. But we also do need to get the special bonds for, let's see, what is these? Charlotte and hey, come on here.
Oh, I didn't. I have to do that after I fail one of my moves.
Oh, right.
I haven't yet.
Yep, so that's fine. So yeah, then it's just Joe as the special bond. So we can do that last. So why don't we do the 3rd bond just so everybody has some nice bondy stuff. And if you want to just make one up, go right ahead. I'm cool.
I think I'd like to know who amongst the crew once stood up to me and refused to obey a direct order. Either that or someone who has seen my private quarters. Either one.
well, as a busy know-it-all, I'm sure that I've probably snooped around.
Great. Totally down.
All right, Forbes, who you want to dramatize next?
I think I don't have anything with Joe, so I think that okay, so let me ask Bethany real quick. Is Joe the kind of person who's pretty credulous? Would Joe like believe whatever I told them?
I think at first.
Okay, well, I've convinced you that I can talk to birds.
I've seen weirder stuff. Like that probably doesn't even strike me as extraordinary.
Okay, yeah, I think that one's
Okay, cool. You can. That's all. That's all right.
That's all.
Normal.
Okay. I'll bring my A game next time then.
I mean, for all we know, Forbes can speak to birds. For all we know, I mean, it's distinctly possible. Cool. So Joe, you want to drop something on us?
You've heard much about name and dream of learning from them. I'm not sure if that makes sense for anyone.
It could be Charlotte if you want to double that up.
Could
or
be.
Mason. I think Charlotte, Mason, or Forbes would all make sense there. Oh, but wait a minute, and James too, because
Yeah, that's true. I don't have anything with Mason. What's Mason do? Mason is a surgeon.
Yeah. Could you repeat your bond? I missed it.
Oh, sorry. It's you've heard much about them and dream of learning from them.
Oh. Okay.
Sure, why not? That sounds, yeah. Okay. I'll use that.
Cool. So, let's see. Mason, do you have 4 bonds? I can't tell. Yeah, so Mason, why don't you give us a 3rd bond then?
Let's see. Someone seems doomed to self-destruction.
Oh, I can take that.
So that could be anybody.
Yeah, everybody on the boat.
What was your character's name again, Scott?
James.
Go. I froze the top rows, so our names will finally stay in place. Let's see. James, do you... Yep. So James, why don't you give us the 3rd bond?
So I was... Am I off mute? Jeez, I've been between tabs too much. I know that somebody hears the sounds at night too. And I was thinking Charlotte, but is that good with you, Charlotte?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have it off mute. That's good for me.
That's okay. And Scout says hi to everybody.
Okay, cool. I think we've got everybody. So I guess the only question left is, Joe, who is your true love?
Who is my true love? Yeah. I don't have any bonds with Forbes. So maybe it's Forbes. That's why I believed him so easily about the whole bird thing.
That's the weirdest brag I ever did to impress someone.
It totally worked. Like the one other session I was in was another one like Agatha was playing the character with my true love, and I was like, okay, I have total faith in, I don't remember what the character's name was, but like she will fix this problem because she is that good because I'm in love with her.
That worked out so well.
I know, right?
So I guess no one's going to tell Mason that the reason that they need a new surgeon is because their last one jumped into the sea with a small boy and was never seen again. It's fine. This is fine. This is a good ship. It's not cursed.
You need to buy a power strip?
It's not cursed. Cool. So yeah, we have a couple of NPCs. I mentioned Hezekiah, who is kind of a dour and bit of a braggart harpooner. Elizabeth is the other harpooner who's quiet and hella accurate. We have Kaylin, the cook, Theophilus, the carpenter, and Bill, who I mentioned, is the African American now bosun because he got a promotion. I think Jonas is dead. Forgot to kill him. We have Joe as a sailor and a PC, but I put them down as a sailor because that's what they are. And we have Neb, the cabin boy, who is the last survivor of the good ship Era, which was not happy, not even a little bit. So, cool. Cool. So how shall we begin this? You're definitely heading into Santiago, Chile. Do we want to pick up with the ship having made port? Yeah, that sounds about right. Cool. So I guess the thing to find out is it seems like we've established Mason and Forbes are somehow traveling companions.
Yeah.
A couple Kingsporters on the run in South America, just kind of glom together.
I mean, Forbes was there looking for a certain solution to a certain problem and did not find it. So, how is Mason connected though? Like, did we happen across each other and just was like, oh look, someone from my hometown, or like, did we come there together?
I think maybe I heard that you were there and kind of followed you because I want to be around you to impress you.
Well, the Greenwoods are pretty wealthy at this time, so well, some of the Greenwoods are pretty wealthy.
Cool. So that sounds good. So Forbes, are you a sailor at all?
Nope, no. Forbes is just kind of is an academic who actually wants to be an academic, and he was originally, going around and studying foreign cultures, and then something happened back home, and now he is on a mission to investigate a certain problem that he has that he wants to solve.
Okay. Cool. So, what will be your plan to get on board a working merchant ship?
I will bargain my way on with using my family's good name and just be like, hi, can you take me home?
Also, unskilled people were kind of par for the course on a whaler. It was a kind of dirty, lousy job, but it could make you rich.
I can read maps. That's useful.
That's definitely useful. All right, good. So, I think then I want to see Charlotte and James. Maybe is this going to be? Are we going to do the first mate ceremony on camera? Or okay, so let's do that. You're tied up in Santiago. The harbor crew is busy helping you shear out the mast and replace it. And yeah, is this on your cabin on the quarterdeck?
I think it's on the quarterdeck.
Okay.
And it's, early in the morning and we've kind of, set into port. And I don't even have to send for you. I think you just like typically check in with me first thing in the morning, which might be one of the reasons why I want you for first mate. So yeah, I just like motion you onto the quarterdeck.
Captain, what can I do for you?
I don't know if you've seen this coming or not, James, but I'm in need of a first mate.
There has been a vacancy.
How would you feel about a promotion?
I know the crew we have. I think I'm your best choice.
And I'm like sipping coffee and I just look at you over the coffee mug and I say, even without the crew we have, I think you'd be the only choice.
It's very kind of to hear that. So I will do my best to please you.
Well, do your best to please me. Challenge me when I need challenging. You know, all the things a first mate is for.
Exactly.
Maybe don't let me run too far afield.
You've been known to do that, but I'll do what I can to bring you back to Earth.
Great. She holds out her hand and like shakes hands with you. We've probably got to pick up a few more crew while we're here. And I'll let you set to with that and get the paperwork changed, and you'll get a higher lay, obviously. And I look forward to working with you.
Wonderful. I'll let Mr. Walker know that he's the bosun. He's been doing great there, so he'll
Yes, he
enjoy the
also
challenge.
Great.
All right. So it sounds like you're being sent out to find new crew, huh?
Yep.
I would imagine that's probably you and Bill and maybe Joe, since Joe's got to look, either to give Joe a chance to prove themselves, or possibly because Joe might jump ship and solve everybody's problem for you. So I feel like we should have the scene when you guys finally meet Forbes and Mason. Where do we think that takes place?
What about the dock master's office? I'm sure there's an official name for that, but that seems like the ideal place that we'd run across each other.
That works for me.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm like arguing with a man in like in stilted foreign language and trying my best to get my point across. It's like, no, we need to go back to America. We need to go back to Kingsport. I'm trying to get to Kingsport.
Good, sir. Did I hear you say Kingsport?
And I turn around and I look so relieved that you've responded to me in English. And I rush over and I'm just like, yes, Kingsport. I'm trying to get back home. Oh, I say, isn't it James Fife?
It is indeed. It's good to see you. It's been quite a while, Mr. Greenwood.
Yes. Oh, you are the last person I expected to see here, but oh, what a relief to see someone I know.
Never would I have thought to see you here on the bottom of the earth.
I never thought I would be here, but certain needs be needed, and my journey has brought me here. Are you heading back to Kingsport?
We will be. We're on a whaling vessel this time. So our trip will take us back to Kingsport. Is that where you be heading?
Yes. I must get home. Things are quite unsettled, and I should get there as soon as possible. But this is fantastic news. Oh, also, do you happen to have room for two? I have a companion with me, and I turn and I gesture to Mason.
Mason, what skills can you bring to the ship? Mr. Greenwood, I know, brings very little.
I'm a healer of sorts.
Do tell, we are in need of a surgeon.
Great. I hope to serve you well.
I will. We shall offer you the standard lay, and our ship is over there. Is Joe here too, with us? Out of character.
Yes, Joe is
Okay.
lurking.
Okay, great. I just was making sure. And this is Mr. McDougall. Mr. McDougall, this is Mr. Greenwood, Forbes Greenwood. I've known him many a year. And your friend's name, I didn't catch it.
His name is Mason Black. Oh, Mr. McDougall, it is a pleasure to meet you. I can't thank you so much for your hospitality.
I don't know how much you want to thank anybody after you've been on the ship for a little while, but yeah, welcome aboard.
And then this is that moment where Forbes just leans in with like the winningest smile and is just like, "It's such a pleasure to meet every one of you. You've saved my day."
Oh, I'm very glad to have seen you. It's been too long. It's been too long.
Fantastic. So, it doesn't sound like you have anything left to do on the land, huh, Forbes and Mason?
I don't. I'm looking to get out of here.
I don't either.
Okay. So, I think we should get you to the scene when you see the whaling bark Tethys for the first time. So, for those of you who are not up on your 19th century ship rigging, which is probably everybody here, a bark has two square sails on the front two masts, and then the rear mast has a fore and aft, so a triangular sail. And that configuration was a good compromise of performance and ease of sailing, so you could carry a smaller crew. The ship carries about 35 people. It carries up to 4 whaling boats that it uses during the chase. When the chase happens, the mates and the captain will lower with a harpooner sitting in the front. They will row or sail, because the whaling boats all have little sails, after a whale, at which point the harpooner will try and throw a harpoon into the whale. If that sticks, then the rope will wind its way out of the boat. There's about 200 yards of rope wound around a drum, and it will sizzle out so fast that the mate sitting in the back will ladle water onto the rope to keep it from catching on fire. When they get close enough to the whale, the mate and the harpooner will change places, which is a fantastically difficult thing to do in the middle of a pitching ocean with a very angry cetacean right next door to you. At which point, the mate will take what was called a lance, which is a much heavier spear, and throw it into the whale until such point as the whale is dead enough to take back and render down for its oil. It's a dirty, stinking business, but it will make you rich, 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 because the lamps of all Europe and America are lit by whales. So cool. So, the first thing, Forbes, that you'll notice, either now or eventually, is that one of your cousin's hex signs is cut somewhere into the ship. Where do you find that?
It's actually in the stairwell leading below deck, just on the banister, like right or on the plank of wood, right above it. That's where it's like carved in, and I see that, and my face falls. I'm just like, oh no.
What's your overall impression of the Tethys? Can you give us a detail that makes you suddenly regret your decision to take ship with it?
I am not used to seeing any vessel that does not have sparkling white sails. And that is the first sight that I catch, but it is definitely not the last that says this is not the Kingsport Yachting Society.
Excellent. And what about you, Mason? What's the detail that makes you let's see, what's your gig? You're the outcast. What's the sign on the Tethys that makes you think it's a bit of an outcast as well?
Sorry, could you repeat that? My internet's breaking up.
Oh no, not a problem. What's something about the Tethys that makes you think the ship is a bit of an outcast as well?
I'm going to say some of the crew have a suspicious look about them, and they regard me with curiosity and suspicion myself, but I don't know. I think it's just general interactions with people.
All right, excellent. Cool. So, Captain Greenwood. Bill, always being
Goodwin.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good God, what did I say? That's a that's a nightmare waiting to happen. No offense, Greenwoods, but Captain Goodwin, the indefatigable and always trying to be useful Bill, mentions that another Yankee whaler is in town. Oh, what's a good name for a whaler? The Charity.
Right. Sounds awesome.
And suggests that you perhaps call upon the captain. Maybe bring Mr. Fife with you.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I think once work is done for the day, I grab James and we head over to see the charity.
All right.
Sounds like a great plan.
So the charity is, it looks like it must have made the passage right around the same time as you, but it weathered it much better. And the crew seems busily efficient at keeping the deck clean and patching the sails, and things look pretty ship-shape. And you meet the captain, Bradford Houston, and his wife. Oh, well, let's give her a good New Englander name. Actually, let's just call her Emily, because I like that name. His wife is aboard, which was it's uncommon, but not super uncommon. And his first mate, Lawrence. And they're all very happy to chat with you. So you're down in their cabin and having a nice import meal, which means they can send out for fresh supplies. And well, Captain Goodwin, I'm quite impressed to be sitting across the table from you. Your exploits, ma'am, are legendary.
She leans back in her seat and swirls the wine around in her glass and says, "You know, legends can go two ways, so I'm hoping you mean in the generous sense."
Well, actually, why don't we find that out? Isn't that your move?
Yeah, my reputation precedes me.
Yep.
So roll plus balance, which my balance is +2. 6 and 8. I roll a 10.
So, yeah, you get to tell me why you're legendary to Bradford.
I think the legend of Captain Charlotte Goodwin started when she was very young. And the first ship that she ever sailed on was taken by pirates, and she and one or two other members of the crew who were men, and so, you know, their exploits in it seem a little less extreme, you know, hid below decks and took the ship back from these like pirates and basically saved everybody aboard. I think that she was like 10 or something. She was very young when that happened.
10? Nice.
Yeah. And I mean, what she maybe did during that situation has been like blown out of proportion. Like, her memory of it is she mostly just like snuck down the halls and like told people where people were. But because she was the only woman on board, girl on board, it became like she took back the crew with, you know, only 2 men to help her, and like this whole legend built around it that she just doesn't argue with anymore.
So the captain leans in again and says, I have to, if you don't mind me saying, though, Captain, It looks like you didn't weather that storm quite nearly as well as we did coming around the Horn.
If I'm honest with you, I had some difficulties with a few of my crew members that contributed to.
Well, that's usually the fault of the bosun, ma'am, if you don't mind me saying. Perhaps you need to find a new bosun.
You know, we did just that. Not mentioning that it was an internal promotion. And now that I have an official first mate, I don't think we'll be seeing that kind of trouble again.
Well, Captain, seeing as you've suffered so much coming around the Horn, and if I might add, ma'am, that this is your first venture into these waters, yes?
Yes.
Well, our plan is to cruise out into the offshore grounds. Used to be that you could just sail a little bit off Peru and spear anything in the water that you wanted, but nowadays, the whales have gotten smarter, and them beasties are hovering out in the middle of the Pacific. You have to go might ways. Our plan is to take a short cruise out there, then return to Callao for supplies. Now, it seems to me that without causing any undue loss of profit to either ship, 2 ships can cover more territory than one. So if I may propose, ma'am, that the Charity and the Tethys, isn't it?
Yes.
That we both sail out upon the off do our short cruise out there, and then both head into Callao. Or if you wish to go on to Honolulu or continue cruising, that's your own affair. But it seems to me, especially as you're new to these waters, that it would be profitable for both of us.
What do you think, James?
I think we can trust him. I think we can do this. This should be a good partnership.
I think that sounds like a wonderful idea then.
Well then, to our continued success, madam.
Indeed.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to go take a turn on the quarterdeck with your first officer, but my wife Emily will be happy to talk to you while we take our cigars and brandy there.
You know, I think I prefer a turn on the quarterdeck myself, and I love a good cigar.
Well, I'll take it kindly then. Yeah, you don't mind coming up with us? She just sort of nods. And so on the quarterdeck, Lawrence has taken your measure there, James. What are you afraid he might see?
I'm concerned that he might see some of the truth of what's happened on our ship.
That seems fair. Cool. So, yeah, he's like, James Fife, heard of you.
If you've sailed any of the waters of this world, you've heard of me.
I've heard such about you that I'm might surprised that you're sailing on a Pembleton vessel with a Goodwin in command.
Well, the Pembletons have always been good to me.
Have they?
Yeah, I mean, after the problems after the problems I had a few years back.
Oh, it seems to me the Pembletons are only good to their own kind. Are you saying that you're of their kind?
What do you mean by that, sir? Do you mean am I of Kingsport stock? But no, I hail from Scotland.
Oh, that makes me feel a little bit better. Certainly, I don't mind making my living upon the briny, but I don't want it in my tea, if you understand me.
That's understandable. I can't be as picky with my employers.
Listen to me, Jim, if I might be so bold. This here ship, the Charity, has made 3 cruises in the last 10 years. She's never failed to bring home less than $50,000 in pure profit.
Ooh.
Now, it seems like a man like you might be willing to take third officer berth here in exchange for what will be pretty much a guaranteed amount of money.
There must be something else you want here. Something more. You're not telling me.
I could use a more experienced hand. Company stuck us with kind of a youngin for third mate. I know third mate is a low position for someone with your experience, but a 1/30th lay on our ship, it's almost like printing money, James.
Well, Captain Goodwin's been really, really good for me. I think I'm gonna stay put for now.
Well,
I'm not sure that I'm not sure it's just your third mate that's a little green. Must be some of the reason why your captain was so willing to sail with another vessel. Possibly splitting up the profits of the whales that we come across.
never you worry about that, my dear friend. We will have our whales, all that are coming to us.
Not if we get them first.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit of the thing. Fantastic.
Can I have a quick conversation with James on the way back to the ship?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. So as we're walking, I'm still smoking the cigar from the ship, and I say, "So did he offer you a job?"
Third mate. Not even a good job.
Not even a good job.
Where does he get off?
I mean, I think people see a woman in charge, and then
He
they
could be a third mate to me.
right. I think that they see a woman in charge and think that they can take what they want from us.
Well, some people. I come from a land where a queen ran everything. Women are just as competent as men.
Sometimes even more so. Plus, I don't think his wife is very satisfied with the arrangement on that ship. There's something strange going on there.
Something strange all around. It seems if that ship was as profitable as the first mate claimed, that they wouldn't be offering so readily to give us an assist.
Well, I guess we'll find out. Here's to the wild unknown.
And keeping our eyes open.
Indeed.
So, I'd love to see a scene with Joe, Mason, and Forbes, but I'm curious as what kind of scene that should be. Do you have one? Are you out carousing on the land? Are you getting used to the ship? I'm curious what you guys are thinking about.
I think that it would be delightful if Mason or Joe had dragged me along. I'm like singularly like dissatisfied to know that my cousin has been involved in some sort of witchery, and I wanted to deal with that on my own, but I have been rousted from my berth and made to go do whatever.
Sounds good to me. So, where do you guys go?
Somewhere. We're just docked next to the ship. Can we
Yeah, you're still tied up at the
Just
dock.
taking a tour of it, or?
You're still tied up at the dock. You're free to go out on land if you want.
Um, I don't think Joe knows anything at all about Santiago, so like would be very happy to like see anything here. It doesn't really matter what. He'll go along.
So maybe is there something that Joe would want to see specifically that would request Mason or Forbes to show him?
Wish I could think of something. I don't know. I think it's just. I mean, any chance to get off the ship is good, right? Land. That's all that matters, right? Although, like, a place that he's never been for is even better. I'm trying to think of like what ridiculous thing Joe might have heard is in Santiago that like isn't really there.
There could be maybe it's like a specific brothel or something, and then that's why maybe there's a part of it that's like, oh, we should go to the brothel, but then also you're like, I wonder what this very, very handsome gentleman would do in a brothel.
Maybe I just like one of the now dead sailors talked about some place that either maybe he hadn't been, but he did heard of here, that was just like, all I know is the name of it, and that like it's supposed to be really great, and this like friend of Jonas's had a really good time there. That's all I know. And what is a good name for?
It could be like Violetas or something like that.
Violetas, yeah.
Violetas, yes. And that's all I like. So I've heard of this place called Violetas that, well, yeah, Jonas isn't here anymore, but like, he said that if we ever got to Santiago, that everybody should go check out Violetas and go there. I don't know if he'd ever been there or not, but he'd heard it was really amazing.
Okay. While that's happening, I'm going to I guess kind of just like you see Forbes just kind of like nervously like rubbing his hands, and it's just like, oh, yes, I have heard stories of Violetas. Although I must say Mason has been more of a patron than I. So but if you insist, I can take you there. It is after all the least we can do, especially as no one has discussed payment that I need to buy my way home. So as long as we continue that arrangement, I think that should do.
Well, I'm not going to discuss payment with you, but I think this is probably when Forbes realizes how gullible Joe can be, and like, yeah, comes up with the whole bird thing.
Like, yes. Actually, as someone who speaks a number of languages, I've actually learned how to communicate with the birds of Santiago, and they have quite a few stories about Violetas. You see, many politicians go there, and it is actually quite the hotbed of gossip of Chile. It is
the birds.
Yes, ravens specifically. They're very chatty once they come to accept you as one of their own. Ravens are remarkably intelligent animals.
I've heard they could talk. Do they talk their own language, or do they talk Spanish here?
Oh, they do have their own language. It does have a Spanish accent here, but a raven is universal.
So any raven can talk to any other raven, just with an act.
Yes, they're much more evolved than we are in that regard.
How'd you learn? Who taught you?
Oh, just something I picked up, you know.
Why do they care about politicians?
Well, I mean, they don't, as so long as, you know, their parks and public lands are not encroached upon. But have you ever seen an angry raven? Yes, it can be quite frightening.
I've seen angry gulls, and I can ravens even bigger bills. Yeah. So, wait, was it angry because of something you told it, or?
Well, I mean, it's not polite to discuss the feelings of those who are not present, but you know, just to say that they have strong opinions on lots of things.
Forget Violetus. I want to see. I want to talk to these ravens, or so you talk to these ravens. That's amazing. I've never known anybody who could do that. That's.
Oh well, you know, it is in the middle of the daytime, and I know that they must be very, very busy. But I guess there is a small piazza over a little bit further into town where they like to congregate, and it's not very, very populated. We could go there.
Yeah, I would love to see this.
Oh, I don't seem to have any money. Would you like to buy some bread that we could feed them with? And perhaps something for us as well.
All right. Yes. I will buy bread for us and ravens.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, this should be most exciting.
I am shookus. Okay, that was better than anything else I could come up with. So what I think we can do here is let's take 5 minutes, and maybe they will give Ryan a chance to try and solve some computer issues, and we'll be back in like 5-ish and talk and do some stuff. All right, ciao. So I think after a few days, you guys set out once again from harbor. Of course, the charity leads the way because, you know, they're the experienced whaling ship. So Mr. Fife and Captain Goodwin, you're on the on your ship. You've been a little while getting out of Santiago, and the charity begins to make a course correction, and it runs up some flags telling you when to make your attack, like you are on a military ship.
All right. So we're gonna get fancy. What I would like to do is they're trying to tell us where to go, effectively. I want to get there first. Like, I want to outmaneuver them. I don't know what to roll for that.
I think that it's gonna have to be.
It could be read a situation, maybe.
I think you can read the situation. I think it's James's hold steady roll, since he'll be giving the orders to Bill as to what to do.
Yeah, I'll take that.
But you're more than free to read the situation. Meanwhile, they run up, as you start to move. They run up a flag that means stay in formation.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so I call James to the quarterdeck. And I say, is it just me? Or did they just tell us how to run our ship? Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Stupid mechanical switch. I can't believe that they seem to think they can order you how to captain your own vessel.
James, you know what this means.
means that they don't trust you. They don't trust us. They want to get rid of us.
Either that, or it means that they are making some serious assumptions about who they're dealing with. Change course. Outrun them.
All right. So I had dice here a second ago. So we're gonna I'm gonna shout some orders to try to outrun the crew of the charity or the charity.
Sounds good. So why don't you give me a hold steady here?
What's that one?
Plus balance.
Yeah.
Acting under pressure.
Yeah.
Hold steady would have been good too.
I got a 8.
8 total. Okay, cool. Worst outcome, hard bargain, or ugly choice, huh? You can do it, but it's going to require you to change sails so rapidly that almost certainly somebody in your green crew is either going to screw up or get hurt.
Well, we have a surgeon aboard now. I think I'll take that.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Yeah, so at one point when you're trying to make a sharp tack, somebody lets go of one of the sheets and gets whipped in the face pretty bad by the flailing rope and collapses, and Bill has to run over and grab the rope himself. But you don't miss stays, so you actually get through, and you manage to just edge out the charity. And you get close enough that you can see Captain Bradford staring at you with arms crossed as you sail by.
Yep.
But Emily is kind of just waving a handkerchief.
I try to resist the urge to wink at her.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. It sounds like this is a job for Lawrence then, because as soon as you guys are back on course, Bill carries down this poor sailor. Let's call him Theodore. And you're like, hey, excuse me, Mr. Black. It looks like this fella took a rope to the face, and his nose looks a bit broke, sir.
And I'll come rushing over, and I'll inspect his face carefully with my hands, and I'll say, lay him down on the cot over here, and tell the cook to fetch some hot water.
Yeah, you've got the cabin boy, Neb, who is a kid from New Orleans, and he comes running in with some hot water. Like, here you go, Mr. Black, sir. Looks like I'm back to being surgeon's assistant as well as cabin boy, sir.
Oh, thank you, Neb. And who's this gentleman that I'm treating? I'm asking Neb.
That's Mr. Theodore, sir. He's from New York City.
Is Theodore conscious right now?
Yeah, he's groaning and cursing.
Oh. So I'll take a look at his face, and the burns look pretty bad. It looks like it's gonna leave some scarring. I'll tell him this. And I'll pull out some tinctures and some ointments from my bag. I don't think this needs any stitching up, I'll tell him. And then I'll gently try to clean his wound with the hot water that Neb brought me.
Cool. It sounds like you need to do a surgeon's work here.
Mm-hmm. So I roll with brain.
Mm-hmm.
And that 7, 8, 9.
Well, that's good. Cool. So, let's see. Complications. He's concussed, which you realize when he starts to faint in the middle. So you need to act under pressure, or bad things will happen.
What do I roll with on act under pressure?
Balance. Which you're also good at, so you'll be fine.
So I'll slap him lightly on the face that I'm treating, and I'll tell him, "Stay with me, man. You can't fall asleep. You're concussed. If you fall asleep now, it will be for the worse." And that is a 9.
So
What did you say it was?
balance, so that's an 11.
11.
All right, good. So you don't have to trepan him or anything like that. He'll be fine. He just needs a little bed rest. He's like got a horrible migraine now, and just of course you'll have to explain to the captain why he's doing that, and why he's being such a malingerer. But I'm sure everything will be fine. This is fine. All right. So you've not been cruising too long on your new heading when both not simultaneously, because you have to wait for it to carry over to your ship on the wind, but you hear from the masts, "There she blows!" And indeed, Captain, when you train your glass on the horizon, you see a pod of whales swimming nearby. The Charity is immediately lowering their boats. They're quite fast at that.
Yeah, I instruct the crew to do the same.
Fantastic. So this is going to be you and James in separate boats. I took the liberty of moving Elizabeth up to first harpooner, as I figured you would choose her for your boat.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Cool. Which leaves poor James with Hezekiah.
Oof.
Yeah, don't worry. This will be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Cool. Which boat is Joe in?
Which one would be more dramatic?
Who are your bonds with?
I got bonds with everybody now. Yeah, I've got bonds with James and Charlotte. Although my bond with Charlotte is much more positive. Yeah, I'll be in the. I will be in the boat with the captain and first harpooner.
Now, maybe we should have done this on camera, but Captain, are you allowing Mr. Greenwood to just sail on your boat as a passenger, or are you expecting him to actually do work?
He has to work.
Cool.
Do you know I'm there at all yet?
Oh, no. I mean, I think they brought you on as a regular crew member, right?
We did not discuss that
Yeah,
whatsoever.
I mean, you're not the stowaway, so there had to have been some kind of conversation.
Do we want to retroactively have that conversation? Because it sounds like some things needed to be said.
Yeah, why don't we have a flashback moment?
Or maybe there's this moment where you stride out on the deck and you're like, "Mr. Greenwood, get in Mr. Fife's boat."
Yeah, I think actually, I mean, up to you. Do you want to have had that conversation before and we can do it, or?
So I'd like to base it on my outsmart roll, which is with the move as the scholar is when I try to outsmart someone, I tell the GM my plan and then I roll for it. Basically, I'm trying to allude to the fact that honestly, I'm worthless and you should only ship me back home because my family will pay for me. And honestly, it's one of those things where it's like I am more of a hindrance and will cost you more money if you put me on a boat. So let's see how that goes. And it was a 4, which means it succeeds, but it backfires.
You succeed, but have to choose one. You lose something precious, you compromise your principles, or they'll know what happened later.
No, it was straight up a miss. It was a 4.
Oh, cool. I get to make it worse. But, sometimes I'm allowed to declaim responsibility and let the players decide how to make things worse. I think it would be tragic to not let the captain have her moment here.
Give
So
it to me.
we'll just do the flashback, and it's you and I standing on the quarterdeck on the day that you came onto the ship, and you had been going on at length about how much of a screw up you are, just for a while, and I'd just been letting you talk, just kind of standing there, and I interrupt at some particular moment when you're talking about yet another thing that you messed up, and I say, I need you to understand that I am a woman captaining a whaling ship. And so when I hear a man speak of himself as though he were a useless knave, it pains me in my heart. And so what I am offering to you, my dear friend, is the opportunity to make a man of yourself under my tutelage. You will not do nothing on my ship. You will not pay me for your ride. You will be a crew member with full honors. You will be paid a fair wage, and you will work until your hands bleed, and I will make a man of you yet.
Yes. Like there is almost a full moment of silence as Forbes stares at you in disbelief and then very meekly whispers, "Yes, Captain." And then, like, as you turn away, like, he just, like, stands up and, like pouts, like,
I think that's the flashback while you're pulling
Yeah,
this oar.
now I am rowing in, like, really bad rhythm, and, like, I'm sure someone is yelling at me, and I'm drenched, and my, like, curly, floofy hair is, like, all over my face, and I'm just, like, making the exact same expression, like...
It's James yelling at you, though every now and then Hezekiah, who's got, he's the harpooner, so he's up at the front of the boat rowing. He's just like, hey, stop crying, you damn girl's waist. Come on, put your back into it.
I am.
Over, the captain is rowing like crazy, just like...
Yeah, like full on like rowing team, like perfect. And I'm just like my oars are like flopping like asynchronously, but I'm like we're making it. We're just trailing behind.
Okay, so first, Captain. So you're coming up upon the spermaceti here. It's a fearsome bull of many a season. And it's wily and is trying to get away from you as fast as possible. So I think you'll need to hold steady to get your crew close enough to this thing that Elizabeth can try and make the toss.
Okay, great. What am I rolling? Acting under pressure?
Yep.
Great.
I keep rolling hold steady. I don't know why. I think that's
it's James's really kick-ass move, and I don't have a really kick-ass move for rowing boats. What do I add to that? Acting under pressure is roll plus balance. My balance is 2. 10. I roll a 12.
Okay, perfect. But you show no fear as it churns the water up, and Elizabeth does her funky underhand motion and nails it right in the fluke, which is not a great place to hold it, but it hold everyone. So there's that hush moment, and everyone waits to see if it will hold, and it does. So immediately the whale sounds, and so the rope is spinning out, and you just have to sit here and wait, bobbing up and down on the water for the whale to come back up, because whales will come right back up where they sound. That is how they do things. You got to wait 20 minutes. So Elizabeth is calm and cool as she normally is. Meanwhile, James, as you're closing in on one of your whales, you see one of the boats from the Charity trying to take an angle on you and get to it first.
Huh.
Yeah, huh. Funny that, huh?
All right, I'm going to bark out orders to row faster and harder and make sure that the harpooner is ready. They're not going to beat us to it.
Huh. I'm just trying to see if that is a different move than anything else. I don't think it is. I think that's going to just be acting under pressure then.
Got a 10.
Okay, perfect. So you get in quick. You get in just quick enough that when Hezekiah stands up in front, he throws right before the harpooner from the other boat does. So both your harpoons hit the whale. And you're like, what? What? Because this one doesn't sound. It runs. So you're bouncing along in your boats. Poor Forbes is getting even wetter and more drenched. Because the waves are just pounding over the gunwale right now, and you're probably minded on frequent occasions that you're on a boat. Got about a thin plank of wood between you and the watery depths. So the harpooner from the charity looks over at you. It's a big Indian guy. Just crosses his arms like. It's like my iron hit first. This is our whale.
Oh, really?
There you go. I'll let James handle this.
It is our whale. You'll be
if it's your whale, then why did we get here first? Why did we strike first? And why are we going to take her down?
That's a damned lie, sir.
No man calls me a liar.
And yet I am but a man, and I am standing here calling you a liar.
Well, only the first part of that statement hasn't been verified yet.
Well, what shall we do then, sir? We are a bit occupied with yon spermaceti.
I've got a job to do here, which is to catch that whale. You can strut about like a peacock.
The kill shall be mine, not yours, James Fife. It is Samir who tells you this. This boat is of course run by Lawrence Zahiris, the mate. He's just kind of chuckling, like, "You should have taken my offer there, Jimmy."
Well, maybe, but I like where I am.
Excellent. So, Joe, what are your thoughts as you bob up and down on this boat, hooked to a leviathan?
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, nothing bad has happened yet.
No, this is great. This is how it's supposed to go.
Safe compared to the rest.
I'm just here doing my job. It's this is normal, and it's kind of fun, and just waiting for the whale to come back up.
Cool. So two things. First, Captain, all of a sudden you feel a shudder. It's, that whole rabbit runs across a grave thing, except far worse.
Oh no.
And some bubbles come up, and then some blood, and that whale comes out and breaches, which is not common for a sperm whale to do because they're so big. And one fin has been horribly mangled.
Right.
But so it's trying to swim, but the front fins on a whale are kind of how it steers, not how it swims. The tail is what propels it. And it basically breached right in front of you. So Elizabeth is already running back to heading back to the tiller, and you're kind of running up front. So it seems to me that the thing here to do is to act with force if you're going to attack this whale.
Yeah, I think that's what I have to do. Roll plus brawn. This is going to go super well. 9 plus, what is my brawn? Sweet, it's 0. So I rolled a 9.
9 is good. You get to choose 2 from the list.
I'm gonna do take definite hold of it and suffer little harm. Or no, inflict terrible harm.
So you're going to suffer harm.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. The harm is not physical. It's still harm. You're still taking one harm. You just have this sudden realization that whatever attacked that whale was what you saw in the storm off of Cape Horn.
Oh, great.
Yeah, no, it's following you. That's fine. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. But meanwhile, you launch the lance right into the whale, which dies way faster than it should. You didn't really hit it that hard. If you didn't know better, you'd say something like it died of fear.
All right.
Cool. Yeah. Cool.
Seems normal.
Okay. So meanwhile, back on the other boat, Forbes, you're as I've been saying, you're drenched in everything, but you're also not really paying attention to the rowing kind of stuff, which is why you see the other whale boats suddenly dart towards you, and your counterpart on the other boat raises up his oar to take a swing at you.
All right, so we're just gonna fight on these boats. Great.
Yeah, so I have a brawn -1. Okay, so hold on, let me take a look at the moves. So there's acting under pressure, intimidate another, act with force, manipulate another. Okay. Short. Okay, so who's in the boat with me?
Joe and Hezekiah and 2 other rowers.
Joe and Hezekiah.
Yeah, not Joe. James.
Okay. So I have a question. So the transform move says that you may assume your true form at will, and when you assume your form, you have all the advantages of its attributes. What does that part mean, the attributes part?
Let me see. I think it depends on what your form is.
Okay. Because I was hoping to use some like superhuman strength, but I don't necessarily know that that's the best course.
I mean, if you're from Kingsport, there's an obvious alternative form that you could have, but
I was gonna go against the grain on that one.
Yeah,
actually.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's that? Yeah. So one other question, I guess, is the transform part of that. Like, does it have to be like a full body transformation, or into whatever creature I am, or can it be like a thing where it's like it happens and then there's like physical evidence, like on whatever limb I happen to use to stop it?
Again, this may depend on what the form is. So if I might pitch you an idea, it could be lycanthropy. I mean, solid classic.
So actually, it was going to be basically that Forbes at different points transforms into like a half bird kind of thing. So lycanthropy, but like bird canthropy, aviary lycanthropy.
I don't remember what the Greek word for bird is, but yes. What kind? I mean, the kind of bird here could be very important. Like, is it a swan?
No, it's a raven.
Of course it's a raven.
Of course it's a raven.
Do you turn into a big raven or a little raven?
A big one. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, certainly you could turn into a big raven and flap into the sky and dodge the oar that way.
Well, it would be more like, catch the oar and then maybe like carry the person off. But I think I don't want to necessarily do that right now in broad daylight in front of everyone. It seems a little contrary to the way that he's done that. So let's find a different way to do that. The oar comes at me, and with a seemingly preternatural speed, I think that I just throw myself back and like dodge it.
Cool.
As an act under pressure.
That is act under pressure all the way.
Okay, and that's with my balance, which I'm pretty sure is a nothing. Yep, 0. Oh, okay, so that's a 9.
Oh, that's excellent. Cool. So you lean back, the oar sails right over the space where you were. The other guy curses, Samir kind of laughs, and since you don't know what you're doing on boats and you don't prioritize it, you let your oar slip and it just slips right out of the lock into the water. Joe, you see that. I'm sorry, James, you see that.
Well, at least now the ship will go straight instead of wobbly. So I'm going to yell at the people in the other boat. What am I going to yell? You can't steal our kill. This is our kill. Attack them! And I'll order one of the rowers to swing his oar or her oar at them as well.
I think you're intimidating is kind of where this is going, unless you want to make that act with force.
No, I think intimidate. Let's see, brawn. Oh, lovely. -1. Is that a 6? Oh, got a 9.
Oh, cool. Let's see.
So intimidate on a 9.
Okay. I think what they do is your guy takes a vicious swing right at Lawrence, and to get out of the way, he lets some of the rope out, so the boat drifts down behind you, which leaves you closer to the whale. And now, if that will allow you to get your first strike in as you run up the boat and grab the lance.
Yeah, and I'll raise it up and strike downward.
Act with force.
And that's force, which is also brawn. Oh, 10.
Oh, wow. So choose 3 from the list.
Act with force. We will inflict terrible harm. I think we impress our enemy. And yeah, let's take definite hold of the situation.
All right. So not only do you sink your lance in on the first strike, when you pull it back, you're close enough to the other line that you just let it lance out, and you slice through their line, causing your curses from the other boat as it drops even further behind.
$50,000, huh?
And then you're able to finish the whale and start hauling it back to the Tethys. So, well done. Well done, you guys. You now have 2 whales, one on either side. But so does the charity, because their other 2 boats were successful as well. So the 2 of you are just bobbing back and forth on the waves close to each other, both starting to try out the whales. You're more than welcome to go over for a gab if you wish in the evening or at dinner the next day. The main meal on a ship is the midday meal, but you could also drop by in the evening if you want. It's custom. They'll send over their first mate if the captain visits them, and vice versa.
I think I'd rather not go over for a gab. I think that, we could invite them, but I definitely don't want to be on their territory.
Well, if their captain comes over, then your first mate will go over.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. So you grab later you grab a speaking horn and ask if they'd like to come by for in the evening. or maybe it can be the next day. They come over for dinner, which is a big deal. So Emily and Bradford row over to the Tethys, and James, you row over to the charity. You can take somebody with you if you like.
I think we shall take. Let's take. Let's take Joe.
Okay.
Joe.
So actually, the surgeon is considered a ship's officer, so he can. So we're gonna have Mason at the dinner with the captain. Cool. So let's do that one first. Okay. So Captain Houston rows over, and his wife is actually able to climb up the steps. She doesn't need a bosun's chair to get aboard, even in a skirt, which impresses the captain at the very least. And as custom allows, you don't really talk about too much until the food is well on its way, and then Captain Houston just leans back and says, "Good hunting yesterday, eh?"
It was indeed.
My first officer tells me that you stole a whale that we had an iron in. That's that's a little it's a little not done, Charlotte, if you don't mind me saying. I mean, this is all still new to you, I know. So
She leans back and she puts her feet up on the table and says, maybe I'm just hysterical, but it seems to me that if you had the strength of arms to take it from me, we would be in that position.
well, who would want to get into any sort of a scrap? We're all Yankees. We're all in the same business. There's no reason for us to fight, but just be aware that once we fixed a whale, it is our whale, and those are the rules of the fishery.
And she says, well, who can tell in the heat of battle who gets there first? Maybe next time you'll beat us.
Well, my first officer says that our iron struck first, so just saying, Charlotte, that whale that you have there is rightfully ours. We would have put a fixed pole on it and gone back for it as soon as we tried out one of the others.
Well, I guess if you'd have been on one of the boats, then you'd know for sure, and you wouldn't be taking reports from your first officer.
I was on a boat. That struck me my own whale.
I take that back then. I didn't realize that he was on a boat.
Yeah, he lowered too.
She says, well, from what I hear, we struck first, and we'll just see what happens next time we go out together.
Okay. Did you want to say anything there, Mason? Because Emily is definitely looking chagrined and like she wants to crawl under the table, maybe.
Well, I was gonna lean forward and just put my hands below my chin and just sort of say, I sense some rather strange animosity going on here between the two of you. Is there something that we should know about?
Well, the captain here thinks that I should be the sort of person, the sort of woman who sits in rooms with other women and discusses tidy things while the men walk about the deck and smoke cigars and drink brandy.
You can't blame me for being of the opinion that men should talk about things with men and women should talk about things with women.
I am a ship's captain.
And a very fine one. But I put it to you that in your haste to prove yourself, that you're willing to cut a corner that is just not a corner that we should cut as fellow members of the Yankee fishery, the greatest fishery of the world.
Well, I think the captain here has proven herself time and again. I've known her since our childhood, and I can safely say that I've known no braver soul than her.
Any friend?
Well, if your surgeon says it, certainly that outweighs the opinion of a man with 20 years aboard aboard the boat, the boards of a sailing vessel. But this
Well,
is a wonderful pudding, ma'am. Such a delight.
I'll glance over at Emily and I'll give her a nod and I'll say, and I think it's about time that women took a step forward and made a place for themselves in this world. Don't you?
Well, well, of course, Bradford. I'm sure he has his point. He wouldn't say anything that wasn't true. But I am sure that Captain Goodwin is extremely brave and very capable.
Yes, but what do you want? What are your thoughts about this?
Oh, I'm not very nautical. But I don't know the right way to settle this. If Bradford says that, I mean, Lawrence is a very good man, and I'm sure he wouldn't speak an untruth. So
How is Lawrence speaking this?
Oh, well, Lawrence is on the other ship, so I think now's the time to cut to James having dinner with Lawrence, and Joe, who you can just say is your mate. No one's gonna check. I mean, maybe you can promote Joe to mate. He seems like he knows what he's doing. Or maybe not. Or maybe not. Maybe once they learn how to do, the rabbit goes around the tree and back into its hole.
Like, I can row. That's and reasonably well, I guess.
Well,
but yeah, that's pretty much Joe's only skill.
You'll be around because the harpooneers have dinner with you because you're in the wardroom too, and you guys are just having some very stiff and formal, hey, let's not talk about the fact that we tried to kill each other yesterday kind of talk, when Samir finally just takes a slug of rum, tips his glass over and says, James Fife, we have business to settle.
I do not discuss business at the table.
Then finish
it. It's a fine meal, and I will finish it first.
Finish it then, for I shall make it your last.
Well, okay. Can I have seconds?
No man calls me a liar, James Fife.
Did I call you a liar?
You did yesterday.
Oh.
And then you took a fish that was rightfully mine away from me.
Well, the fish did seem like it wanted us to take it. It's what it told me.
Did it now? Well, it told me that it wished to die at the end of my spear, like so many of its kind.
Okay.
So shall we settle this like sailors?
Let's do that.
Knives?
I prefer a fork fight, but okay. Knives it will be.
Cool. Lawrence should try and stop this. He just sips his wine meditatively. You should have taken my offer, Jimmy. You should have taken it.
There's never any going back in life. There's only going forward.
So, when you go out on the deck, the crew of the Charity is about half what would have been called Lascars in those days. They're mostly people from India or the adjoining areas. And some of them are tough and some of them aren't, like people. But Joe, you notice a lot of them don't seem to be that happy with Samir. As he comes up and he strips to the waist and is sharpening his big Bowie knife.
Okay. I'm gonna like find one person who like looks the least happy with Samir.
Okay. Yeah, so there's one guy who's standing there. It's like, that big idiot is going to get us all killed one day. The only thing bigger than a whale in these waters is his ego.
Yeah, what is his problem?
I should not speak ill of him, for I was a stowaway, and he let me stay aboard the ship and become a naval sailor.
But you don't seem so impressed by him.
It's not the first time he's tried to claim someone else's kill as his own.
If he's so good, why doesn't he just? There were plenty of whales out there. Why not just pick another one?
It's not for me to say what the captain might have ordered us to do. Oh, I guess he kind of just did. It's like, oh, by the way, Chandra is my name.
Joe.
Ah.
Nice to meet you. I know our first mates seem to be about to have a duel, but as far as I'm concerned, there's no bad blood among the sailors of our ships.
What sort of ship is the Tethys?
What do you mean, what sort?
Is it a good ship? Or perhaps they would have a spot for a willing sailor.
They hired me. And I was green as they come. Still am, to be honest. So if you know how to if you know your job better than I do, which does not take much, it's certainly worth a shot. You should speak to James if he manages not to get killed here.
Well, if not, perhaps you'll need a new first mate.
That is true. We go through first mates very quickly. That's so you might not want to volunteer for that job.
All right, so James, Samir is brutally competent, and he's got a big knife. So, are you ready, Mr. Fife?
Give me 1 second, and I pull up the table knife that I brought with me from the meal, and I begin sharpening this very small knife. I'll be with you in 1 second, sir.
Are you making pleasantries with me? You're going to fight me with a table knife?
It's all I
offer him
need.
my knife. I have one.
It's all I will need with someone of your sort.
Uh-huh. Okay, so how are we going to do this? It sounds like you've got something up your sleeve, because your brawn is not that great.
It's not that great. So, you said that there were a lot of the sailors were from India and whatnot.
Yes.
I'm going to turn to one of the ones who's watching with kind of passive interest. And he's the harpooner, right?
Yes.
He's the second harpooner?
First harpooner.
First
Well,
harpooner?
the second, you're right. Yeah, he's the second harpooner because the captain has his own.
Is he always a hothead like this? Is this the kind of crew that you've been sailing with? You know, our ship, we sail with higher quality harpooners, sailors, everything.
Tell me you said that in Bengali.
Yes.
So his eyes open a little, and he just says rapid fire. He's like, he's a braggart and a good fighter, and he kills many whales, but I wouldn't mind him seeing him taking down a peg if it didn't leave him dead.
I could use a little assistance here. As you can see, he chose to pick on the oldest member of our crew.
Sounds like you're trying to learn somebody's secrets, huh? With inside knowledge?
Yeah.
What? Your old beauty for me.
Beauty. And that's a 9, and my beauty is 0, so I just got a 9.
So you get to choose.
It's an NPC. I could choose to. I'm going to go with they're more open than you expected.
Excellent.
And that they don't become suspicious of my motives.
So, cool. So you so you get 2 secrets, huh?
Mm.
Okay. The first is he's like, Samir always does the same thing when he attacks. He always leads with it. He always feints with his left shoulder and then switches right to his right. That's the first secret you learn. The second secret you learn is and he's very good at changing hands with that knife.
Okay.
So both of those will count as help for you in different times, I think. So you can treat that as taking the. I'll play it this way. You can use both of those for the purposes of just this fight. We'll call that hold, and you can spend that hold. You'll hold 2, and you can spend that to give yourself a +1 on your roll if you so choose. Sounded good?
Yes, that would be like the next to the last one on the Secret Keeper. Force their hand at a crucial moment for an NPC. Okay. Just better check there. All right. And so I will pull out a regular knife after taunting him with my table knife. And I will wait for him to approach, and then I will. All
right. So you guys are
turn in his secret to hopefully my benefit.
you guys turn on. You guys are up on the forecastle, and the sailors make a ring around you. And Samir comes in all heavy muscles and sweaty skin, but you see him faint with his left shoulder for a minute, and then that knife comes stabbing right at your face. So cool. Yeah, let's call this acting under pressure first, and then see where that goes.
All right, then that's balance, right? Balance. Oh. 4 and 5, so 11. Whoa.
Oh, so forewarned is forearmed. You don't even need to use your advantage. You've seen that. This is just a plain old trick that you've seen 100 times. So you easily just dodge around that, and he's left himself open because he put so much of his weight forward. So if you wish to act out with force or intimidate or something else, now is your opportunity.
I will act out with force, and I will trip him and push him to the deck. Hopefully, having him drop his knife on the way down.
Awesome. Sounds like you should roll that.
And that's brawn. Not my best. I'm an old man. 7.
Okay, so no point in spending the hold. So you get to choose 2.
And so I will suffer little harm, but I will dismay. No, I will frighten my enemy.
Cool. Awesome. 1 sec.
So somehow I hurt myself in the process, but
All right, so between your vest and the taking little harm, you take no harm. You throw him to the ground. But he doesn't lose the knife. However, he knows he looks stupid right now. And he's like thinking about what to do. And so I think he just like rolls over and tries to wrap up your legs because he's kind of figured out he can't beat you using his own normal knife fighting technique. So he wants to take you down to the deck and then finish you there.
all right. And I will attempt to just jump backwards so that he can't grab me.
Sounds like you are acting under pressure.
Oh, that's broad. Balance, +2. I hate this die. It's a 6 die. It can't be a 9. Duh. So 9, 10, 11.
He danced easily out of the way. He's stumbling to get up, so you can take an extra +1 on trying to hit him if you wish to right now.
Yeah, and I will stomp on his knife hand. Or actually on the forearm. That's 5. And you said I could take a 1 forward?
Yep.
So it's a 6, so I miss.
You can spend your hold.
6. Oh, that's true. I do have the +2 hold. I'm going to do that.
Okay, so you can spend one of those to get to a 7, and choose your 2.
So I will inflict terrible harm, and I will take hold of the situation.
Okay. You stomp down, and you hear a crunch. He starts howling in pain. You're able to just kick the knife away and roll him over. He's just looking up at you with eyes that are filled with terror and hate and fear.
Well, sir, I hope you have a good surgeon. That arm's going to need some help.
This is not over. It's over. It is not over. He gets put away. Yeah, you probably cracked his ulna bone or something. Maybe not broke it all the way, but definitely cracked it. So he may take a little while to throw a harpoon again. So that happened. Is there anything going back on the ship on the Tethys? I mean, you don't know that this is going on, though. Eventually, you may see your crew kind of looking over at the other ship. Or is it time to break up the dinner? Okay, so on her way down, Emily stops you. Actually, first she stops you, Mason, and it's like, thank you for speaking up. You have a good heart, I think.
Well, I simply think that everyone's voice should be heard equally.
That's very, very democratic of you, I suppose.
Very forward-thinking. Something tells me that you might have a voice yourself.
Oh, well, I suppose so, but, well, my duty, of course, is to my husband first. She says goodbye to you, Captain. It's like, you can see she's got hero worship eyes on you right now. Thank you, Captain. What a wonderful meal! What a wonderful dinner! I do hope that you'll allow us to return the favor.
And very gallantly, I take one of her hands and say, "It would be my greatest honor."
Oh no, the
Kiss her
honor
hand.
would be mine. I think there's got to be that cross, Bradford, like, Emily, come along.
Yeah.
They get down into the boat and row over. And as you pass by right in the middle, James, you see Bradford standing up in the back, as you know, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're the captain, even though it makes no sense. And you're standing up in the back, and you're passing by, and he's just looking at you like you torn shirt.
Huh. Huh.
Huh. So, yeah, I think I want to see James and Charlotte talk about what happened.
Yeah, I think I invite James to the quarterdeck because that's where I spend most of my time. And I've got, a couple of cups of brandy, and I just hand you one.
Thanks. I could use this. All they had was some cheap rum on that ship.
So dinner was interesting?
Dinner was fine, but their first harpooner was a hothead. Tried to claim I stole his kill.
That's what I got accused of over here as well. How did it go?
I think maybe, I winged that bird. And I don't think he'll be first harpooner for the rest of their voyage. I did notice a good portion of that crew seemed to be quite unhappy.
Really? In what way?
They didn't seem to be loyal.
To the mission, to their captain, to their ship?
To their captain, I think. I would suspect.
Did they seem ill-treated? The ship seems in good order.
They didn't seem ill-treated. They just seemed they seemed easily swayed. I overheard one of them asking if we had positions on our ship.
Is it someone we could use?
Probably. I believe that Joe struck up a rapport with them. If you want to ask him about it.
Yeah. I think if we're going to poach crew from the charity, we should probably wait to do it until after we've parted ways or the next time we take dock.
Yeah. And we probably shouldn't poach their first harpooner.
Shouldn't we, though? Are you saying you don't want a man with whom you've had a physical encounter working on our ship? I think it would make dinner quite lively.
It was odd. The first mate took no part in taking control of the situation, as I would have expected an officer on the ship to have done. Just allowed a harpooner to challenge a visiting officer.
Right. Mm. Yeah, I have some questions about the way that man runs the things over which he has provenance. We'll keep an eye. See if maybe we can get ourselves some skilled hands.
Yes. Sounds like a good idea.
Also, I'm glad you took him out. I didn't want to have to look for another first mate.
Well, I was a little worried. It's been a while since I've had to take a bigger man down, and I'm not as spry as I once was.
Apparently still spry enough.
Yep. The gods were looking out for me.
Thank goodness.
So, Forbes, while Mason, as a ship's considered an officer, gets his own tiny little cabin, which is as big as his hammock, and that's it. You are in the forecastle with the rest of the sailors, including Joe, um, many of whom continue to rib you every day about losing an oar, which is, just a huge sin, and your general inability to do anything nautical. But on the other hand, they hired some green hands in Chile as well, so there are a few people who are not competent. Though, do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, and it's actually probably enough that like at the very least I can joke with the Chilean members and like understand them much better than like the English speaking crew can.
Right. That's fair. There are members of the English crew that can speak Spanish, but yeah, definitely. Cool. So you're rocking in your hammock that night as the ship lies to, and the weather is calm, but you know the when the sea isn't particularly choppy, it still comes in with a big swell, which in some ways is even worse because you can feel the whole ship pitch over slow and then rock all the way back. Um, when you hear an eerie call of some kind outside.
I don't even wait, actually. I just kind of, slip out of my berth and like race my way quietly upstairs.
Do you grab anyone? Or should I ask Joe? Forbes is your true love, right?
Yeah, yeah. If I hear this, I definitely follow.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I'd say anything. I just follow, like, because that's lurking is pretty much Joe's thing. He's the stowaway, like old habits die hard.
So the deck is pretty empty because it's the night watch. There's the guy back by the wheel keeping watch, and there's a couple of other people on watch. But there's not a lot of light. The moon is only a early moon, and it's probably so that means it will be just rising now. So most of the light is from the stars and the little compass lamp that's kept lit. But as you stare out of the water, there's this eerie greenish blue glow floating on top of the waves.
I think down, and I think that Forbes, like I'm looking over the side of the ship at it, and I just like I keep kind of like staring so intently at it that I like you see like my body start to lean forward and forward and forward, and there's like almost a fear that I'm gonna go overboard as I'm like gazing intently at the glowing light.
I mean, that sounds like your cue, Joe. That's pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's like I come up and like just kind of grab the back of his shirt. If a wave hits us right now, you'd be head first in the water.
And I turn around and I look at you, and there's like a tear running down my face, but instead of like a clear liquid tear, it's almost like black tar. And I like blink at you once or twice, and then I realize like it's almost like I come out of a trance, and then I like quickly like wipe it away, and I just like, yes, I thank you. I didn't know anyone was up here.
Your eyes all right?
Yes, I think it's just salt water or something.
Never seen salt water that color, but all right,
I
say so. You might want to talk to your buddy Mason.
Oh, Mason doesn't pay attention to what I tell him.
I mean, if he saw you, is that blood?
No, I'm not sure. I don't know what you're talking about. It must have just been the shadows. You must have seen something.
Okay. And like, do I see this glowing thing?
Oh yeah. You can't really miss it.
Yeah. So is this like Is this like the glowing algae, or is this like clearly something different?
That sounds like you're
Hey, I get to actually roll?
yeah, he's trying to read the situation here, I think.
Um, it's still 6.
A 6, eh?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. I can do callbacks. You look down and you see Olivia and Elise staring up at you, and they both look like they've been in the water for, and not alive for a long time, but yet they clearly move their head to look up at you.
Yeah, I think I'm just kind of like frozen there, staring and like going absolutely white. Like I have no idea what to do about this, but this is yeah. Olivia? Oh, no. No, there's Forbes. Do you see faces? Do you see
Faces? No, that's my family used to tell stories about the glowing lights in the water, and I'm trying to remember what they said. They stopped telling them to me a long time ago, and I think
Did
that's the point where I want to try to sense what's beyond.
Cool. Je vous invite de jeter les dés.
And that is a 5.
Nope, back whales.
I think at this point, I'm gonna look around and see if there's anything that I can throw in the water.
Okay. Cool. So you hear someone singing, Forbes. It sounds almost like your cousin. And the voice says, "One was given to the land, one must be given to the sea."
And I kind of I'm like at the edge of it, and I like have my hands on it, and then I kind of drop down to my knees, and I just like staring over the water as this lullaby fills my head, and I like turn over to Joe, and I'm just like, it's not fair, you know. I was there with her, and they chose her, and they stopped telling me anything, and then they just did what they wanted, and here I am, and I can't. I just want to get home.
You found a bucket, Joe.
Okay, I want to throw the bucket. I want to like aim at the apparitions in the water. Basically, I want to like disrupt it and see if anything happens.
Cool. You pitch the bucket in there, and it disrupts the glow and just sinks beneath the waves and vanishes. At which point, your sharp cry from Bill is like, Mr. McDougal, did you just throw a bucket over the side of the ship? That shall be stricken from thou shalt be put on your account, sir.
And I think I turn around and I just start to explain, and then I'm like, no, go ahead. The explanation is
So, Captain Goodwin, tell me about the terrible dream you're having.
Oh, great, cool. I think she's having a patriarchy dream. I think that she, in her dreams, is walking through the halls of her house, but her house is also a boat. And inside of her house, she can hear the voices of her brothers and like the ways that they are all doing the things that she wants to be able to do. And then she's running to the docks, but she can never quite get there. And there are people that are trying to keep her from getting to the place where she wants to go. Just a straight up patriarchy dream.
Roll plus beyond.
Great. Sounds awesome. Really into it. Excited to roll plus that thing I have a 0 in. Is it a 0 or a -1? I forget. Oh no, my beauty's -1. Just not that cute. Roll a 7.
Cool. Fragments and mysteries.
Down with that. It's better than you making it worse.
The dream suddenly changes, and once again you're floating in that eerie quiet, deep beneath the waves, with the storm raging above, but down in the water there's nothing. You're quiet, and you're holding Carlito by one hand, or maybe you're not, because it sort of just fades out of the dream like that happens, and you see the monster in front of you again, opening its fins, and in a voice that sounds like the mother of thunder. I mean, you just get a feeling it's a feminine voice.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "What dost thou wish?"
Ooh, gosh. To serve with might and honor, and to be praised and recognized.
It opens its toothy maw, which is about the point that you start shrieking, and Bill comes and finds you, Mason. Mr. Black, Mr. Black.
I think I'm wearing just a simple shift, and I stumble out of bed and I throw open my door really angrily, and I look at him and I'm like, "What? What is it?"
I think you best come and see the captain, sir. She's having some sort of fit.
A fit? And I quickly assess what I'll need, and I just grab my bag, and I have some needles and some really good drugs in there. And I'll make my way.
All right. Yeah, the captain is kind of rolling around in bed, screaming. But as Mason comes in, you get suddenly lucid, Captain.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, not frightening at all.
Not weird. And I sort of like pop out of bed, sweating and like shaking a little, and I say, "What are you doing here?"
I was called to your quarters. I was told that you were having some sort of fit, a seizure perhaps. And I put my palm on your head.
Just a nightmare. It's fine. I'm fine.
Still, I insist. Let me take your blood pressure. And I sit down in bed with you, and I pull your wrist over to me, and I start taking your temperature, or your pulse. It's pretty erratic. Can I read a situation here?
I think you can.
Or
Yeah.
maybe read another's thoughts, perhaps?
Well, now that depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to figure out what's happened, then it's Sitch. If you're trying to figure out what she's thinking about, then it's thoughts.
Let's go thoughts. Let's go personal.
Yeah, that's what I figure. I mean, it's 19th century medicine. You're probably just like, I don't know. Something with the something with the blood.
Your humors are unbalanced.
I mean, they're a little better than that, but not a lot.
Not a lot. Your uterus is
Ooh.
wandering. I don't know.
That was really bad. I rolled a 5, but my +2 makes it a 7.
So what do you get?
You may ask one of the following of these questions at any time during your interaction. So, do you have the sheet open, or?
Yeah. What does this character intend to do? What does this character wish I do? How can I get this character to... So I'm taking your pulse, and I think your heartbeat is pretty erratic, and I think your temperature is a little high. And I'm gonna ask if you're telling the truth, if this is just simple nightmares that you're speaking of.
Yeah. Are you going to ask me that just like straight out?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to gauge you medically, but also maybe a little psychiatric assessment as well.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe we talk for a few minutes and you say, is it really just nightmares? And she wears a like a gold pendant that looks at first like a sort of a Catholic ornament, but it's actually just like the crescent moon, and it's just like this really elaborate, beautiful thing. And while she's quiet after you ask her that, she sort of wraps her hands around it and says, "You know how you can tell when you're having a true dream? It was one of those, which is kind of worse than a nightmare because it's real,
Like a vision.
like a vision, like a glimpse into the beyond."
Well, I haven't really studied the mind much, but I'm here if you need my help. After all, I do owe you for getting me out of prison that one time.
I will let you know. There's something about this journey that feels important and terrible, and I can't figure out what it is.
Well, it might just be superstitions. It might be omens. I don't know what to make of it, but perhaps if you just set your mind to the task, you'll find your way through.
That is what I am hoping for, my friend.
Cool.
Great.
So, Mr. Fife, in the morning when you come on deck for the early watch, and Bill is there and hands you the log, and it's like, interesting night, eh, Mr. Fife?
Looks to have been.
Well, apart from the captain having her fit, Mr. McDougal threw a bucket into the water for no reason that I can ascertain.
A bucket?
A bucket, sir. I'm not really sure what he meant to do, but...
Attacking the water with a bucket?
Well, I suppose it makes more sense than attacking it with a shovel, but... One other curious thing, sir. Sometime around 3 in the morning, well, he would give it in bells, but I can't remember. I think that's 7 bells in the first watch. Sometimes around 3 in the morning, I heard a great commotion coming from the direction of the Charity, as if they had to call the crew up on deck. But I couldn't rightly make out what was going on. By that time, the mists had begun to rise.
And is the Charity within sight still?
Yeah, you guys are both kind of lying nearby.
All right. And you've heard no noise since then from the Charity?
Just the ordinary working of the ship, sir.
Well, was this before or after the commotion here on our vessel?
It was after, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll certainly check with the charity to make sure she's all right.
Cool. So I think at this point, Charlotte, you're on deck now too, because I know you get no sleep and have no life, and no inner life. There's no inner life, no theory of mind. It's just
Excuse me, I have an inner life. It just basically goes boat, men are terrible, whales, boat.
fair. I mean, that would dominate the conversation. When you put a glass on the charity, so when you're trying out the whales, what you'll do is they get hitched onto the onto a yard arm, and so because you each caught two whales, they're hitched on on either side of the boat to balance it, while you cut off the blubber and try out the oil, and then dig out the oil in its head, and at some point you'll cut the rest of the body off and get and just use that. But when you look over, you can figure out why they had sudden commotion over there, because one of the whales that they had yanked up has been bitten in half right below the jawline, or at least you think it's bitten. All you know for sure is that most of the whale below the head is missing now.
Great.
And if that happened all of a sudden, then the ship would have started immediately listing to the other side, and would have been possibly in danger of capsizing event. But then again, the only way that could happen, the only way it would be in danger of capsizing is if it happened, almost instantaneously.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
No, sure.
Sort of fine. Yeah, what's big enough to take a bite out of a whale? Cool. James, are you seeing this?
I see it. That's that would explain the noise that we heard that Mr. Walker reported. But I don't think that would explain it.
Yes, the only way that they would have had to steady the ship is if the whole thing had disappeared all at once. What's big enough to take a bite like that?
That's a spermaceti. Why, they're the largest creatures in the sea. Nothing's big enough to take a bite like that.
I don't know whether we should go and assist or heave and leave.
And at that moment, you hear the lookout screaming, "There she blows!"
Oh, great. Good.
So,
is it another spermaceti?
Of course, it's another pot of whales. So the first thing that's interesting is, of course, they only lower 3 boats over on the other side because they're out of harpooner. And maybe have decided to keep more shipminders, who knows. The second thing is, I'd actually like for the acting under pressure roles to come from Joe and Forbes. Because, you guys know what you're doing at this point, but you guys don't. So if anything's going to get screwed up on this one, it's going to be you guys. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. This is balance. That's good. I'm glad this is balance. 8, 10.
Perfect. So, you're getting the hang of this. It's mostly just putting your back to it and listening to Charlotte shout, "Why aren't you rowing? Row, you bastards, row!"
Yep.
As an aside, I highly recommend reading some of the passages in Moby Dick where he describes the different ways that the mates ask their guys to row. And they're all they all have a different take on how to do it. So, fine. Charlotte, you don't have any problems. You kill another whale. Strange. It's how they just showed up like this. Just weird. But, good for the ship. Since you can't actually hitch another one on, what you do is you put a pole in it. It's called a pitching pole. And that means that it's a fast whale. In other words, it belongs to your ship. So Forbes, let's see how you do.
I got a 7.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
cool. So right when Hezekiah throws the harpoon and catches the whale, the water around you starts to glow blue again.
And I think this, like, instead of, paying attention in the slightest, I immediately like crawl over to the edge of the boat and I start like staring down into the water again, and I'm just hypnotized by it.
Mr. Fife, what are you going to do when your fourth oar suddenly just starts staring over the gunwale?
Mr. Greenwood, I've taught you better than this.
You'll have to try to get his attention a little bit more than that, because he's enchanted by whatever visions the water is showing him.
I'm going to make sure I've got a good hand on his shoulder, but also peer into the water to see if I see what he's what's piqued his interest.
Why?
I don't know if that triggers the sea speaks move or not.
I think it definitely should.
All right, so that's with plus beyond. I'm due for a low roll. Oh, I didn't get it. 8, 9, 10. 10.
Ask me your questions 3. I'm not afraid.
So what strong emotions have been near this?
Trying to figure out the right way to phrase it. A fierce and overprotecting love.
Okay. And what made this?
Nothing you've ever encountered before, but something of the same.
Okay. And then what has been done recently with this or to this? This presence, I guess.
This, whatever is causing this is somehow related to whatever happened to the whale on the Charity.
Okay. Mr. Greenwood, would you be okay? Do we have to hold you back? Are you responding yet?
Yeah, I think that like shouting his name one more time kind of breaks the enchantment, and it's and he like leans back and like kind of like snaps to it. It's like, where are we? I've done it again. I'm so sorry. And then like goes back to his oars.
Whew.
All right, very good. So we have a little time left. Do you return Emily's invitation?
Yeah.
Cool. I think it makes sense if you bring your surgeon, huh?
Yep.
Yep. I'm almost wondering if you should bring Mr. Forbes, who is a scholar.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And you could at least get a look at whatever the hell happened with that whale.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So when you row over the next day for dinner, by this point you're already starting to tow the other whales back towards your ship because you're hard at work trying out the first two. The ship is very subdued and quiet. They did not, in fact, manage to get another whale. Yeah, I think you pick that up. They all seem very chastened because the whales just flat out ran from them faster than they've ever seen whales swim before. So second, Mr. Forbes, or rather Mr. Greenwood, you take one look at that whale and Something bit it. Something with no mouth that you've ever seen before.
What was that? See, I would be unsettled if it weren't for the fact that something about this suspiciously reminds me of the time when I grew up with the other Greenwoods, including my cousin Phoebe. And there's a part of me that thinks that it might be something to do with that. And so as I'm going around inspecting it, I try to sense what is beyond. And then, yeah. Okay, that's an 8 this time.
This is what you know. Whatever it is, it's not for you. It's for the captain.
Right.
And Mr. Black. At dinner, Emily manages to get close enough to just sort of talk to you very low in your ear and says, "Sir, I am guessing that you have many different sorts of treatments for all sorts of conditions."
Sorry, all sorts of conditions? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Well, I'm familiar with all sorts of conditions, but whether or not I'm afflicted with them myself is up for debate.
Do you possibly have something that can ease someone's sleep?
Oh, of course.
My husband is afflicted by terrible nightmares, and he's been given laudanum, but it does not seem to take hold.
Well, let me see. I might just have exactly what you need, and I'll dig around in my bag. And I'm just pulling out all manners of things, and it's quite clumsy. Some of them spill over the table. Is anybody else around witnessing this?
They're mostly eating. Probably the two captains are probably having a staring fight. We'll get to them in a second.
Well, I'm trying to be smooth, but failing, and drop what I want to give her on the floor, but I quickly pick it back up, and it's just a tin full of little pills. And I say, be very precise in what you give him. Only one and no more, for any more than that may cause permanent damage.
Oh, I thank you. I thank you so much, sir. Mr. Black, you're doing both of us such a great kindness.
Well,
You're very kind.
I try to be. And I
So,
smile awkwardly.
aw. Yeah, Captain. You and Captain Bradford are just sort of you're eating at each other. Like he gets to the point where he puts down his knife and he's like, I have to say this cruise is not exactly what I thought it would be.
And I'm like very gently just sort of eating. And I say, and what were you expecting?
Well, the first day went fine. We caught two spermaceti, but of course we had to cut one free the other night. The sharks had gotten at it something fierce.
That is unfortunate.
Yes.
Yeah, do you know what bit it?
Oh, it was sharks.
More than one shark?
Yes. We had to cut the rest of the body off. It was sharky, and the blubber was very thin, so we didn't lose anything by it. Must have been diseased.
Perhaps that is the case.
Perhaps that sickened the waters here. Whales fled from us yesterday, as I've never seen them swim before. Strange. It's very strange.
It is very strange.
You don't have a Jonah on your ship, do you?
No, of course not.
I shall have to see if we have one on ours. can't have a ship with a Jonah on it. It's just bad luck. And as for me, I have no desire to repeat the experiment our Lord performed upon said prophet. Be a cold day in hell before I'm contained in the belly of any fish upon these waters.
Neither do I.
'Tis good, 'tis good. They say there's strange things in the deep. Now, often you wouldn't know this, Captain, for you've not been in the fishery long enough, but there are times when you'll find some aged bull, some ancient warrior of the depths that's swum since time immemorial. And when you pull them out of the water, their skin is just covered in small scars, pucker-like, as if some great octopode or squid had attempted to feast upon them, or at least had fastened on them. Strange. I never see them, you know. There's many things down there that we know not of. How goes your fishing? I saw you fastened two more whales.
Yes, it seems to be going well for someone who's new to fishing. I feel pretty good.
I'm sure you must be sleeping well, knowing the profit that's pouring down into your hold.
I sleep the way I sleep.
Well.
But the profit is good.
Good. Let us hope we both may profit. Well, and with that, the dinner goes back into small talk. And except for Emily comes up to you and says, "Captain, it was so lovely to have you. I hope you don't mind, but I had the fortune to take in some preserves before we left, and so I made you a cherry pie."
Oh my god. The crush is real. I say, in an effort to not be really, really overt about it, I turn to the captain and I say, "Your wife, my good man, is a treasure."
She is my delight. It's why I will not be parted from her for 4 years while I go and make our money.
I would not be parted from a partner such as that either.
Well, 'tis said that you're married to the sea, Captain.
'Tis said that the sea is a woman.
Well, then, that would be right on natural. I bid you well. Good fishing.
And when they say that the sea is a woman, and he goes to take a sip of something and takes his eyes off me, and so as I say it, I wink at his wife.
Of course you do. Roll plus hot. All right, that seems like a good place to stop. Yeah, everything is fine. Nothing weird is going on here at all. This is normal. Just normal whaling. Just going out, having your catches eaten off the side of your ship. That's fine.
No, it's fine.
That's normal.
More than one shark did it. It wasn't something else.
Yeah, multiple sharks, many sharks. So, okay, I have dropped a link in the main chat room if you want to have some discording. And in the meantime, this was lovely. I'm so happy to have you all on board the Tethys, and I look very much forward to seeing you guys next week. So, till then, I guess bon voyage.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
See everybody.